Hey everyone, welcome to today's lunch lesson live. So glad you're here. Give me a little wave or a thumbs up if you're here. Let me know if you're watching on the live. You can just type live below, or let me know if you're watching on the replay. Just say replay below in the comments. So glad you're here. Today we are going to talk about Pinterest. So Pinterest ideas, how to grow, and how to utilize Pinterest for your business. It is the #1 clickable environment, right? Let me repeat. If you are not on Pinterest, it is the #1 clickable social media platform out there. So it's definitely something to take advantage of. If you are needing clicks to your website, clicks to your Facebook group, clicks to your freebie, to your landing page, it is the place to do it. So stick around. We're going to talk all about how to grow on Pinterest and how to organize and how to drive that traffic. So stick around. Let me know if you are already on Pinterest. I would love to hear in the comments below, or feel free to share your Pinterest profile, right? I love supporting you. I would love to follow you and save some of your pins so that we can all rise together, right? We build each other up. That is how we all grow. Awesome. All right, so this is Mompreneurs to Millionaires. I'm so glad you're in this group, and I'm so glad you're sticking around. We are going to talk about Pinterest today, but first I want to give a quick shout out to everyone who voted. Every Tuesday, I put out a poll on what is going to help you move your business from just being a regular mompreneur to being that millionaire, right? What is one thing that's going to move you forward? So I love talking about that in my Facebook group, and thank you so much for voting on this week's topic. Every week on Tuesday, you can vote on what topic we're going to talk about, and I would love to hear from you what topics are coming up in your business, what questions you have, what do you feel like is going to move that needle for you? So feel free to, you can drop some comments below on the topics that keep coming up for you, or questions you have about your marketing, about your business, about your overall strategy, lead generation strategy, or just questions in general, right? I love talking about mindset and money blocks, everything to do with being a mompreneur, right? So thank you to everyone who voted on that poll. You can always make suggestions on the poll on Tuesdays, or you can send me a message, or you can just vote on the topics that I suggest. So thanks so much to everyone who voted. The winner this week, right, was Pinterest. So that's why we're talking about Pinterest. I love talking about Pinterest, so I'm so excited. It's one of the, I think, the most fun. It is one of my favorite platforms, probably the most, my favorite platform, just because it's fun, right? It's very visual, it's very enticing, and you just get to, I really feel like get a view of like the whole globe, right? Like what are people talking about, and what are some beautiful places and pictures and things, right, that people are sharing. So I love Pinterest for that regard. All right, so this is for go-getters, right? If you are a go-getter coach, a go-getter business owner, this video is for you. Definitely you want to think about taking 2 action items. So I would invite you to pick 2 action items today that you get from this video. You can download all the free content, right? Consume all the free material, but it is only going to make a difference if you take action, right? So really think about what 2 things from this video that you can take and move the needle today, that you can take on your business today. For sure, there are hopefully 2 ideas, right, that are new for you. Even if it's an inspiration, like, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way, or oh, I'm gonna try doing this. Hopefully there are 2 things that you can get from today's video that are gonna help move your business. So feel free, as you're listening, if you realize, oh, these are 2 things I'm gonna do, I would love to hear them below. Feel free to reach out to me, right, if you have any questions on anything, or if there's anything you wanna share, feel free to share in the comments. All right, so I always say, right, we put on our abundant mindset. We are going to think of 2 action items. And what abundance means to me is realizing that all things are possible and you have the power to change, right? You have the power within you to make the life that you want, right? You have the power. And all it takes is moving that needle. All it takes is getting a new perspective. If things are not working, if you are stuck, there might be some new knowledge or a different strategy that you need to change, right? So being willing to change, being open to new ideas and new perspectives, that is what's going to move your business forward. Growth does not come from your comfort zone, right? We've got to step out of our norms. out of our comfort zone a little bit in order to make change and grow, right, as business owners. So I love hearing, what mindset you feel like you are in. If you feel like that abundance, what does abundance mean to you, right? I would love to hear. Feel free to share in the comments below as well. Awesome. So if you're new here, my name is Christina, and I have had a business in some form or another for the last 15 years. I had my first little Etsy shop back in 2010, and oh my gosh, right? Things have changed, but even back then I realized, okay, you can't just build it and they will come, unfortunately, right? Online is a giant space. If anyone feels this way, I would love to hear how you feel. Online is huge, right? It's hard to be seen as anything, right? On any platform, it's hard to be seen, especially if you build a website, right? If you build a website, many of us think, if I just build a website, if I just have my landing page, if I just do all the things, right? Surely the people will come, right? I learned very quickly that especially on Etsy, it's huge, right? Even back in 2010, it was huge. It was hard to be seen. What I loved about Pinterest way back then is that Pinterest and Etsy got together very early on. And so that is a really seamless relationship, right? Pinterest realized that Etsy shoppers are their customers, and Etsy realized that Pinterest profiles are also their customers, right? It's a lot of women, mostly women, and I think a lot of moms as well, right? So if you are not on Pinterest as a person, it's definitely really exciting to be on there as a person, but especially as a business, because there are so many different ways that you can use it for your business and really help grow wherever you're trying to drive traffic. So that's what's beautiful about Pinterest. So if you have an Etsy shop, definitely think about being on Pinterest, because that relationship or that interface between Etsy and Pinterest was very seamless really early on. So even to this day, it has only improved. Pinterest will populate with different attributes on your Etsy listings to make it really easy and seamless between Pinterest and Etsy. So it's a great place to have your Etsy listings for sure. But if you just have a website, right? It doesn't have to be Etsy. If you just have a website, if you just have a Facebook group, Pinterest is a really great place to not only grow your audience, but also get clicks. Clickable environment. Again, it is the most clickable environment. So if you're not on Pinterest and you're wanting to drive traffic to a blog, to your landing page, to your freebie, it is a great place to do that, because moms are used to clicking, right? Like I said, it was really early on that they realized Etsy is their target audience, and so they wanted to make it seamless to click off of Pinterest. So the same goes for any website. It is seamless to go off of Pinterest and go to get that recipe, get that free download, get that freebie, right? It's a really seamless experience. Whereas you notice on Facebook, it's a little clunky sometimes, right? Especially on your phone, especially if it is a pop-up or something like that, right? It's not as seamless to click off of Facebook, and that's really because Facebook does not want you off Facebook, right? It usually opens up in a pop-up, and then it makes it a little bit weird and a little bit clunky to get to that website. Pinterest, however, is much more seamless. It's really easy to click off. Everyone's used to clicking off to get the recipe, to get the freebie, like I said. So it's just a really clickable environment for sure. So definitely something to think about. My husband and I love to say we started our bike shop, right? If you watch any of these videos. So at the bike shop back in 2014, we also created a Pinterest for the bike shop. And here's what is so fascinating to me is that I then revamped when we sadly had to close our business. I used that same Pinterest account. And so it has just given me longevity, right? It has built itself and the followers and built the audience to where I can now use it for my coaching business. And so it's really some of those pins, some of my boards have been around, much longer than this business. They go back to the bike shop, and it's just it's a long game. But what's beautiful is that those ideas and those boards are still there. And so Pinterest, they often say, is much more of a searchable database rather than a social media platform. It's more about searching and pinning for what you want. So I'm going to share 4 tips of how to utilize it for your business. It is the place to be if you are wanting to drive traffic and get clicks to your business. All right, so stick around. So definitely at the bike shop, right, we created a Pinterest. I don't think we utilized it. Obviously, it's a little bit harder if you're a local business to get local traffic from Pinterest, but it's a great place to drive traffic to your website. So that's what I wish I had utilized a bit more back for the bike shop. But again, we live and we learn, and now I feel like I have learned how best to utilize Pinterest to my advantage. And so with the bike shop, right, sadly we had to close our doors, but I turned that into my passion because I love helping other mompreneurs, other business owners, and I turned it into my passion to make sure that other women business owners don't have to close their doors, right? I want to share what I learned so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did, right? I made them for you. And I don't want you to waste years like I did figuring things out, right? We can all learn from each other. And I really think that is what coaching is all about. That is what business is all about, that we rise together and we can learn from each other. There's no reason that another woman business owner has to close her doors, right? If we can all get access to the same knowledge and share what we have learned, there's value in that, right? And it's really important, I think, to invest in the knowledge that you need for your business. We can all learn from each other, right? I really believe that. And I think the biggest secret is that coaches use other coaches, right? Every successful coach that I've ever met has used a coach, right? I really think that is the key because there is nothing like personal experience to help you apply different perspectives and different methods and strategies that you have not thought of, right? It's hard to apply that experience if you haven't experienced it yet, right? Why not learn from those who have gone before you? So that's what I always like to say about coaches. But we are here for Pinterest, right? So let's talk about the 4 quick tips that are going to help you utilize Pinterest to your advantage for your business. All right, so number 1, we really want to think about our target audience. Pinterest is way less about you and your business, and it is more about your customer. Who is your target audience? What is she pinning? Right? So we really want to, and this is my favorite place to really get in the mindset of your target audience, right? If you're still kind of developing who that person is, where your niche is, definitely Pinterest is a great place because you can enter keywords, right? You can search for things. What are other moms searching for? What are other wellness coaches searching for? What are other, business coaches searching for? What's some content that people are sharing, right? And you can start to share, save different content, and then you can see and following other accounts and see what other people are posting. So you really want to get in the mindset of your target audience. And then the second tip is to create boards that they would be interested in. So to me, I don't think it has to have anything to do with your business, right? Certainly, I think it's best to create one board that has all of your business stuff and label it, wellness coaching or your business name or whatever it is. So have one board that is all about you and your business. Absolutely, that's what we're here for, right? We are a business, so you definitely want to be posting for your business. But all of the other boards, I think, could really be related to your target audience and should be related to what your target audience is looking for. Because your target audience is interested, we're human, we are multifaceted, right? Your target audience is not only interested in your business. They are interested, right? They are not on Pinterest for you, right? Obviously, they are on Pinterest for themselves and their personal lives, right? So you really want to be thinking about what is that target audience searching for. So if your target audience is moms, by all means, right? Your mom, that mom is searching for stuff for summer activities for the kids, back to school ideas, meal planning, right? Parenting, so many different things, traveling. I mean, there are so many different ideas on Pinterest to create boards of what your target audience would be interested in, right? If you are a travel agent and you are not on Pinterest, oh my goodness, right? It is the place to be. There's so many beautiful travel pictures. You definitely want to be creating different boards, and I would probably do different boards for the different packages you include, right? If it's a Disney board or a European board or a river cruise board or whatever that looks like, right? There are a million other boards or ideas that you can be creating for your target audience. Because here's how Pinterest works, right? And this is similar to some algorithms, right? Every social media platform, of course, has their own spin on things. But how Pinterest works is if you pin something, let's say if you pin a blog about best things to pack for a Caribbean vacation, right? Then Pinterest says, oh, this other person also pinned that really popular pin on what to pack for a Caribbean vacation. Then Pinterest says, oh, this other person might like what they have, their created pins. So you'll see on Pinterest, right, there are 2 different, and sometimes this changes, right? There's like a created tab and a saved tab. And the created tab are your own pins. So you definitely want to have your business there and beautiful pictures and ideas, and we'll talk about that, how to make that look pretty. but that is where they can click and get to where you want them to go. The saved tab is all the other pins, and this is where you want to create boards for your target audience, right? So obviously if you pin that, hot tips on how to pack for a Caribbean vacation, and someone else also pins that, Pinterest is more likely to show your created pins to that person. So you can imagine this goes in a million different ways, right? If you are pinning a bunch of popular pins that other people are pinning, Pinterest is most likely to show your stuff in their feed because they think, oh, if this person liked that, that person might also like that, right? So anyway, that's how it works. That's how most algorithms work, right? It shows you more of what you like. So if you are liking the same stuff as your target audience, they are going to show your target audience more of your own stuff. So something to keep in mind, right? Especially on Pinterest, you want to get in the mindset of your customer. I see so many business owners that just want to make a perfect profile on Pinterest, which is great, but sometimes that gets really limiting, right? If you are a business coach and if all I ever posted was business stuff, right, then I would be missing out on all the giant, beautiful parts of Pinterest and all the other things that maybe my target audience, right, is another wellness coach, and maybe she's not even pinning anything about business, right? She's on there for her business. So she's pinning health tips, wellness tips, right? Home decor. And what I love is if you are a mom, right, or a woman, you probably love to decorate something, right? Whether it's if you like to decorate for the holidays, if you're looking for that perfect couch for your hallway, if you are looking for, right, whatever it is, a beautiful new flooring, or you want to redesign your bathroom. There are so many beautiful ideas on Pinterest. So it's definitely about creating what is interesting to you and what would be interesting to your customer. And here's where it gets fun, right? Is because you will obviously get shown a lot of different ideas and you're like, ooh, that's pretty, that's pretty, that's pretty, I love it. And you'll end up spending, right? I can, sometimes all of a sudden I'll be there for, you really have to watch your time. It's kind of a time suck. So you have to be careful with your time. But all of a sudden, right, I'll be thinking about, oh, Thanksgiving is coming up. Oh, I should create this beautiful, home style dishes and different recipes, and right, I'm trying to go gluten-free, so I'm always interested in new gluten-free recipes. So there are so many different ideas, right? And it can really get you pulled down a million different directions. So you have to be careful with your time, but it is so much fun, right? It is really fun to pin beautiful pictures and kind of organize your interests into these beautiful boards. So that was a long one, right? But that's really tip number 2, is create boards that your customer would be interested in and what they would be searching for. My third tip is Tailwind. So if anyone has used Tailwind, I would love to hear your experience with Tailwind. Tailwind is a scheduling app that Pinterest uses. There are a couple of others. I haven't tried any of the others, but I've been using Tailwind for the last 10 years easily. And I love Tailwind because I can schedule pins throughout the month. There are 2 main reasons that I love Tailwind. Tailwind allows for what they call smart loops. And so you can put your pins into these smart loops and it will loop your content to different boards periodically throughout the year, all year long. So for sure, your content is getting repinned all the time, which is amazing, right? And what they say about Pinterest is it is less about a recent post. Things are not necessarily dated, right? I mean, they are dated and time-stamped, but you could have a pin that was like 2 years old that all of a sudden, because of that picture, because of your title, all of a sudden it will get so many more views, right? I have a summer marketing post that every summer, sure enough, it gets pinned and it gets shown a lot more. And that is because I'm repinning it always on Tailwind. So those are some ideas, right, with Tailwind, is that the smart loops are really valuable to get your stuff repinned and to keep your content going all year long. And that's really valuable, I think, especially your seasonal. And that's what's great too, is you can have seasonal posts. And so you can create seasonal smart loops. You can create different loops, right? So you can have one loop that is evergreen, that is going all the time. You can have seasonal loops that are only looping, for Halloween or Christmas or summer or whatever that looks like, right? So that's what's beautiful about Tailwind, the smart loops. The other great thing about Tailwind is they have communities. And I think they used to be called tribes, right? I'm a little bit old school, so I still call them tribes, but communities where they're repinning communities. So in order to be in these communities, you can pin like one of your pins, one of your own content, but you are required to pin at least one of someone else in that group. So it's like a repinning, pin for pin kind of a group, right? So it's a lot like Facebook groups, right? Where our follow threads, right? Where you're following back and they're following you. But it's a great way to get people to your content and repin other people's stuff. And so it's really great to see, and you can join different communities that are in your niche. So they have a million different communities, right? There could be a home decor community or a marketing community or a wellness community or whatever is relevant to your business. You can join those communities and pin your stuff as well as pin other people's stuff, and they will pin you back. So those are some really helpful ideas. So Tailwind is a great place to schedule your pins, join the Smart Loops or add your content to the Smart Loops, and then also join the communities where you can repin and other people will repin your stuff. So that's really valuable. So I love Tailwind. So that's number 3, Tailwind. Number 4 is to repurpose your content, right? So many of you, it's really easy to post your content on Pinterest. If you are already posting stuff on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, any of those other places, it is really easy to turn that into a Pinterest pin. So especially if it is just an image alone or a carousel, you can turn it into a video or whatever that looks like, right? So many of you, I'm sure, are using Canva, right? Tell me below if you're a big Canva lover. I love Canva. But on Canva, you can just resize any of your content to a Pinterest pin. And here's the secret, right? A TikTok post is the same size as a Pinterest pin. A long pin, right? So they have different kind of pin sizes or whatever on Canva, but you can resize any content. So if you have just a picture with some words, you could resize it to be a little bit longer, and turn that into a Pinterest pin. So that's what's really valuable and amazing about Canva is that you can repurpose your content. Whatever you're posting anywhere else, you can repurpose and pin on Pinterest. So those are some really, easy ways to repurpose your content, especially if you have a blog, right? Blogs are my favorite thing to post on Pinterest. If you have a blog and are wanting some traffic to your blog, Pinterest is definitely where you want to be, right? Pinterest has been long known for the place for bloggers, right? There are so many different blogs on Pinterest. So what's beautiful is you can create in Canva, right? You can create a little title image with your title really big and beautiful, and you can pick kind of a branding color scheme and, with your logo, if you have that, or whatever you want it to kind of look like. And then stick with that, right? People will start to recognize your big, beautiful titles for your blog, and you can turn that into a video as well as a static image. So on Canva, you can create both, right? You can turn any image into a video just by adding animation. So you could have a video as well as a static image. So those are some really great ways to repurpose your content, is to turn it into a pin and then post it over on Pinterest. So those are my 4 tips on Pinterest that I really think are helpful to drive traffic, especially if you have a website. Now, if you only have a Facebook group or a Facebook page, you can definitely include some type of, hey, get this freebie when you join my group kind of a post, and then have that link. That's what's beautiful about Pinterest that I don't think I mentioned. Every single pin has a URL option, and I think requires a URL. So you definitely want to put a different website, put a different URL, landing page, Facebook group, Facebook profile, any of your other social media platforms. You can put the link into every pin. And that's what makes it clickable, right? Is you include this destination link in every pin. So every single pin is clickable, right? That's what's so amazing. And it's encouraged and it is seamless, like I said, to click off of Pinterest. It's encouraged and it's used, right? So people are scrolling through their feed, oh, I like that, and they click on it, or they save it to their board to check it out later, right? So that's what's beautiful about Pinterest, is that you can add that URL. So if you have a different landing page, or if you're wanting to put your Facebook group or any place where you are wanting people to, sign up for your newsletter, sign up for your freebie, your challenge, whatever that looks like, you definitely want to have a pin for that upcoming sign up, right? That you want to get signups. So that's what's really valuable about Pinterest, is that every pin has a clickable URL so that people are used to clicking, right? It's easy to click off of Pinterest and get that printable, get that sign up, whatever that looks like. So definitely utilize adding in the URLs. Awesome. So that is really it for today. Those are my hot 4 tips. I would love to hear what 2 action items you took away from this video. What 2 things are you going to try either on Pinterest or for your business in general? I would love to hear here below. If you are looking for an overall strategy, if you are getting frustrated and not getting leads to your business, if you're not getting the right people, qualified people who are saying yes to your free offers, let's talk. Just say strategy below. I would love to offer you a free social media audit where we can look at your overall strategy. My favorite thing is to take all the pieces that you've already built, right? You're resourceful. You are a go-getter coach. I know you've built pieces, but you might not be able to get them all working together, right? Sometimes it can be overwhelming. We get pulled into a lot of different directions, and we might not have everything seamlessly, harmoniously working for our business. So if that's the case for you, I would love to help you get all those pieces working together and make sure that you get 5 to 10 qualified leads every single day to your business. That is what I work towards, and that is what I think every business can handle. So I would love to do that for you and help you create that system so that you can be consistent, right? If you don't have a system, if you do not build the right habits in place, it is hard to be consistent. And if you're not getting results, it's hard to be motivated, right? And that's really frustrating. So if you're at all frustrated with your results, with your lack of leads, I would love to help. I love helping you turn likes into leads and the chaos into clients, right? You don't need more followers, you need leads. So definitely feel free to say strategy below. I would love to offer you that free social media audit. All right, that is it for today. This is Mompreneurs to Millionaires. I'm so glad you're here. Definitely stick around.